Welcome back to Analytical Media. We are a consortium, a group of therapists, college professors, and well-published, peer-reviewed authors. We are all academics. Today's question: is the Smiley Face Killer real? Let me give you a little background on the Smiley Face Killer. First, just a little overview. Dead bodies have been appearing around bodies of water, rivers, lakes, and near these bodies, the dead bodies, we find the symbol of the smiley face. These are always heavily populated areas, well-traveled areas, and always in the vicinity of a bar or a place where copious amounts of alcohol would be consumed. And people say that some organization, the Smiley Face Killers, wait near those signs or post new ones. Many of these signs are quite old and are simply graffiti, and they kill people near the sign, or they kill someone and then they post a sign. That's the conjecture, and you've heard about it, I'm sure. This theory originated in the late 1990s, and it says that a serial killer or an organized group is responsible for the drownings of many young, athletic, college-aged men across the U.S., including the Midwest and the Northeast. For example, New York, Illinois, Wisconsin. And of course, podcasts, internet things have taken to it and like to talk about it and suggest that it's real. And more than anything else, these podcasts keep it alive, interviewing each other, interviewing some retired cop, and in these long podcasts discussing it, they suggest that these killings may be tied to the occult. These might be human sacrifices, or to some secret organization. There has been no new proof. Some people believe that proponents of the Smiley Face Killer group claim that victims were abducted, drugged, often with GHB, murdered and dumped in water to stage accidental drownings. As you know, serial killers don't try to make the murders look like accidents. They kill them, hide the body, and hope nobody finds it. Now, they believe, these proponents, these podcasts believe that these serial killers are attempting to kill and make the murder look like an accidental drowning. But that does not tie in well with serial killers who like the fame and the acclaim. They may throw a body into a river or a lake to try to hide it, delay its discovery, but they don't drown the victim so that, hold them underwater so his lungs fill up with water. They don't do that. They might shoot them, strangle them, and then throw them into the water. But they don't hold their heads underwater so their lungs fill up, and the coroner will see that it was a drowning. But these people have drowned. These are actually, the investigations, the coroner always goes to drowning or perhaps freezing to death in the water. The victims have, when testing is possible, they have a high alcohol level. And these killings occur around night spots, not 25 miles down the shoreline of some deserted lake. They're around popular spots, drinking spots, bars. Now again, the proponents of this theory of the smiley face serial killer or killers is that there is smiley face graffiti allegedly found near 12 death sites And they're interpreting this as a taunting signature. Now, if the killers are going out of their way to make the death look like an accidental drowning, why would they take away from that ploy, that deception, to make sure that in some of the cases, at least 12 of them, there is a smiley face in the vicinity? Again, that doesn't quite make sense. Why not avoid a smiley face? Kill somebody, but make sure the body's not around a smiley face. Hold them under what? Drug them? Hold them underwater till they drown? Boom, you killed another one. Looks like an accident. Nobody can prove otherwise. Unless you make sure there's a smiley face there, or you put up a sign, body below, put a little arrow pointing to a drowned body. And they don't do that. They go way out of their way to make it look like an accident, an accidental drowning, but then they leave a big clue like a smiley face. And that smiley face was only found at 12 death sites. Now the victims, or the dead people, the dead persons, were white males, often last seen drinking at the bars, drinking near the shore. Then they disappear into rivers and lakes, and weeks later, the bodies are found. Now, the theory gained traction because of some books and articles written. One book, The Smiley Face Murders, published in 2008, and a 2010 Oxygen docuseries, and online forums. And they were suggesting that there could be 300 linked cases, but there was never any evidence. The FBI and most police departments classified those deaths as accidental drowning due to alcohol impairment. Many of the victims had blood alcohol content that was greater than 0.15. You know, the intoxication limit in most states is 0.08. So that was twice as high, almost twice as high, as would be necessary to be considered drunk, legally drunk, impaired. No evidence connected the cases. The smiley face graffiti is common urban tagging. Autopsies show no consistent murder evidence. The critics of these smiley face murderers, the critics, label it as a conspiracy theory driven by confirmation bias and by grieving families. Better to think that your poor loved one was murdered than to think he drank so much that he fell in the water and drowned. It's not one way, it's his fault. He drank too much. And the other way, it's not his fault. He got murdered by a very sophisticated smiley face murderer. There have never been arrests because the police never had any evidence to operate with. Now, there was a new report entitled The Rainy Street Ripper, which was an independent analysis of the evidence by D. Kim Rosmo, School of Criminal Justice and Criminology at Texas State University, and Edward R. Anderson of the Austin Police Department and the Zena Rosal School of Criminal Justice and Criminology, again at the Texas State University, published in September of this year. This is the executive summary of that paper. Please allow me to read it to you. The theory that a serial killer is drowning men from Austin's Rainy Street district has been advanced by social and mainstream media for over 2 years now. This is fueled by speculation set off by the recovery of bodies from Lady Bird Lake. It shows some of the headlines. Major city gripped by serial killer rumors as cops reveal 38 bodies have been found in and around the lake. The Center for Geospatial Intelligence and Investigation at Texas State University, in cooperation with the Austin Police Department, conducted an evidence-based and scientific study of the data for the purposes of understanding the nature of these incidents and detecting any possible existence of a serial murderer. They analyzed records of 189 drowning cases from 2004 to 2025, identifying 58 target cases that matched the general MO, or modus operandi, and victimology of the alleged Rainy Street Ripper. That's the murderer, or so they think. One study found neither direct evidence nor indirect warning signs of a serial murderer. The frequency of drowning incidents in Austin is consistent with historical patterns. Average drowning risk in Texas and with population growth. Consistent with historical patterns, the average drowning risk in Texas, and the growth of the population in an area. A number of prior years before the Smiley Face murders, there were more drownings than in 2023, when allegations of a serial killer began to escalate. No evidence of foul play has been discovered, and investigators determined these drownings were not crimes. They were accidents. The Travis County Medical Examiner's Office concluded the deaths were accidental drowning, mostly involving intoxicated individuals who fell into the water. One common theme, and this is a quote, of the drownings in Austin this year is the combination of alcohol and easy access to Lady Bird Lake. That's the Austin Police Department statement, end quote. A 22-year study of 7,737 unintentional drownings in Texas provides the context. Researchers found an annual average of 352 drowning incidents, almost one a day, in the state of Texas. Most cases involved males, 78%, predominantly between the ages of 22 and 44. Drowning is a significant public health risk in Texas because of Texas climate and the availability of year-round water recreational opportunities. Drowning risk is extremely high when considering exposure time, especially when alcohol is involved. Large numbers of drownings of intoxicated individuals have been reported in other parts of the world. For instance, the Great Lakes area of the United States, in other areas in Australia, in Canada, and the United Kingdom. In a rapidly growing city, population change has to be factored into any analysis of, or analysis showing, increases over time. From 2010 to 2020, Austin's population grew 20%. So one would assume that the drownings in that area would also grow by 20%. The metro area grew by 49%, and downtown Austin by 79%. Alcohol sales in the downtown Rainy Street district increased by 320% between 2020 and 2022. 5 million people visit Lady Bird Lake and the Butler hike and bike trails annually. 5 million people per year. And there are typically over 1,000 watercraft on the lake, 47% of which are paddle boards. When adjusted for population, the years 2015, 2018, and 2020 all had higher target drowning rates than 2023. When they analyzed all the data, Indicators of a serial murderer were not detected. For the past 15 years, the frequency of target drownings has remained constant, even slightly declining, at approximately 3.4 incidents annually. The year with the most recorded drownings in their data was 2018, 5 years before the Ripper allegations materialized. Moreover, the Rainy Street District is not Austin's drowning epicenter. Only 8 target victims were recovered from Lady Bird Lake between Congress Avenue and I-35 between 2004 and 2025, about 1 every 32 months. Bodies, drowning victims, are more often found near Auditorium Shores and Barton Creek. Similar claims of mysterious serial killers drowning their victims, like the Smiley Face murderer, have been labeled or named the Manchester Pusher, the New England serial killer, and all of them have been debunked and labeled as urban myths. Authorities point to the common denominator of alcohol involvement in bars with waterside settings. The Center for Homicide Research dismissed the so-called Smiley Face Killer as nothing more than a coincidence, noting the conspiracy-laden theory was misguided, distorted by cognitive bias and groupthink, and driven by a few strong emotional personalities. Murder is not uncommon. And homicidal drownings account for only 0.2% of all murders in the United States, most involving children killed by their parents. Similarly, serial murderers almost never drown their victims, fewer than 0.1%. Finally, these numbers need to be placed in the context of the very small probability of a serial murderer in general. An annual risk of 1 in 5 million. So for every 5 million people in a country, one would be, or could be, or would be expected to be a serial killer. 1 in 5 million. There's a good reason why homicides never or rarely involve drowning. The actual mechanics of such a crime is difficult, particularly in natural water. The challenges are even greater for a lone offender attacking adults. The media's suggestion of bridge-pushing attacks is not supported by the medical legal evidence, bridge height data, or the spatial pattern of target drownings. A bias exists in social and mainstream media, and it does. The bias includes the need for something sensational, the need to draw more clicks, more views, and more advertising dollars. That's the bias. Are they going to tell you the truth? They're going to try to tell you the truth. No, they're going to tell you what's going to attract more viewers, more clickers, more people to present to their advertisers. By invoking drama and fear, the serial murder label is a compelling means to these ends. Online forums and media headlines have exaggerated the number of deaths by using longer time periods, larger geographical areas, and vaguer definitions of suspicious. But any analysis lacking information integrity has little validity, which says to you, don't look for science coming from online video blogs. They're going to tell you what's going to get the most clicks, draw the most attention. I mean, it's understandable. Many of them make their living that way. But it's not science. It's an exaggeration. It's kind of the material you would gather from later in the evening around a campfire after drinking a few beers. And the media, the television media, oftentimes sensationalizes the opinions of unqualified experts or other persons who have not done their due diligence. For instance, social media pundits, and they included Fox News, the Daily Mail, did not consider the average drowning risk in Texas before reporting the conclusion of a serial killer. These fabrications have cost the real world, wasting valuable resources that could be deployed to help solve actual crimes. To provide perspective, the cost of a serial murder investigation is typically in the tens of millions of dollars. Currently, the state of Texas has 23,000 cold case homicides, actual crimes that have not been solved. The conclusion of this study is the number of drownings in Austin is a function of population, a function of Lady Bird Lake visitation, and the proliferation of nearby bars and nightclubs. While the shores of the Colorado River are not being stalked by a serial killer, the hazards of drowning in Texas remains a concern. A misplaced focus on a sensational narrative of a predator at the expense of a rational discussion of causal factors and prevention strategies is not helpful. Target drownings decreased in Austin when the Austin City Council dedicated nearly $1 million in 2023 to Rainy Street District trail safety. Knowledge of where, when, and how drownings occur in Austin's waters can focus further prevention efforts. They conclude that more lives will be saved by evidence-based prevention rather than histrionic fear-mongering. So to answer the question, which this study did very well, there are no serial killings. These are accidental drownings involving alcohol for the most part. One of our viewers wanted to know if the Smiley Face Killer or killer organization really exists. Not according to science, not according to universities in Texas, not according to Texas law enforcement. We went over the whole study, and you can see there is no relationship, nothing found there. Water is not necessarily a safe thing. In fact, we treat it with great respect. We have lifeguards. We have warnings. We put up walls. We put up fences because we know from experience that it's very easy to slip, fall, drown. It's equally easy for someone who's drunk, inebriated, impaired to one degree or another. It's fairly easy for them to slip. And then it's hard for them to get out of the water. Their coordination's off. Also, they may stay in the water too long because they can't feel how cold it really is. Their judgment's impaired. We know you can be arrested for drunk boating, not just drunk driving, drunk boating, because your judgment is impaired. This is the other side of the coin. This is the argument that there is no serial killer working in Austin at the Rainy Street District. There is none. Now, many true crime people on the internet want to act like it is real because people are attracted to Jack the Ripper, attracted to the Boston Strangler. And I'm not saying that that interest is unwarranted either. Find out about it, it might protect you, it might save your life. But finding out about an imaginary, fictitious, made-up serial killer could not save your life. All evidence points to the fact that the Smiley Face Killer, organization, conspiracy, all evidence points to the fact that it's not real. No evidence exists to point to the fact that it is real. You might be better off to worry about real serial killers, the real danger that exists. May have saved people from Ted Bundy and the Zodiac Killer and the Boston Strangler, but avoiding downtown Austin so that the Smiley Face Killer won't get you, that would never help. Being careful with your alcohol consumption when you're in Austin, it's much more likely to help you. If you leave the Smiley Face Killer story with this thought, it will probably help you. Don't get drunk around bodies of water. It's dangerous. Don't go down to Rainy Street and drink a lot and then go by the water, or just don't drink a lot. That would help. Avoiding smiley face graffiti is not going to help you. Can't do everything, so pick your avoidances carefully. This is Analytical Media. Subscribe, like this. I think it helps people. We're trying to help people. We are all academics, clinicians, researchers, well-published authors, and we're doing this to try to help. Please recommend this to other people whom you feel it would help, or to people you care about. It would save a lot of trouble, a lot of fighting, a lot of confusion if we agreed on more things. And one thing we can all agree on is the truth. Let science help you see the truth. Let the Austin Police Department help you see the truth. And let the universities in the state of Texas help you see the truth. This is Analytical Media. We will hopefully meet up again in the next video. Until then, take care.